Alright, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today is March 27th, 2026. Right now, me and Katie are at English Bay under a tree of cherry blossom. And look at the moon and the English Bay and Katie and cherry blossom. That is her heritage. The reason we are here is to continue from previous video. It was interrupted and there's a good reason. And mainly we are here for looking for keys. We also dropped my key here earlier. It's dark. I don't know if we can find it, right, Katie? I'll try our best. Alright. So earlier we were here playing frisbee. I think I dropped my key here. I remember I just deliberately put it on the floor with my bag, but side by side, but forgot to pick it up. Let's see if we can find it. And enjoy the scenery in the quite beautiful moonlight. Oh, Kitty just sit down here. Huh. Okay, so guys, ladies and gentlemen, I realized something, what happened. Okay, so last 48 hours, I put myself admitted to Sampa Hospital at least 4 times and discharged 4 times at least. The one time I don't know whether, I think 4 times, yeah. And under evaluation by the psychiatric team, they monitored, and I had a chance in the interview room under the monitoring observation. I started performing or playing my Ming Dynasty style silk string tiba, the same style from the Metropolitan Museum in Chicago. That one, yes. So, well, at least I showed I have a high functioning cognition that I don't deserve to be detained as I met 4 criteria. So I don't meet 4 criteria, and I've been discharged 4 times. What did I say? Same time, Weasley put me to detention thinking I meet 4 criteria for 6 months. After lab test result proved that it was misdiagnosed from the very beginning. I was right all along. And the research, the change of my facial and my body, it's not the side effect from the Abilify, because I went to Top Drug Mart pharmacy, asked for those side effects downside of Abilify, but they give me the one is for people who have psychosis, the downside for that. But we do research, healthy people, no psychosis, the Abilify side effect downside, that's exactly of what I'm experiencing. Rapid weight gain, and and moon face, and they lost the joy of life, lost the sex drive, lost everything basically. That's exactly what I've been complaining since the medication. So this medical injury is medical harm. It's because I did not have psychosis before taking psychosis pill. And why did I go to Summer Hospital? What's the reason I go there? The reason I go there is that first time, my reason is I'm not suicidal. I don't want to self-harm, but I've been forced to. Recently prescribed me the Abilify still, even though now that I just verified the psychosis is now no, it's not psychosis. Traumatic psychosis. No, it's not. It's actually the physical illness proved by lab test. So I asked basically what's wrong now, why I'm under detention for 6 months. How did I meet 4 criteria? He said, oh well, you had PTSD now. Oh, sorry. Before that, why we talk about now, okay. So after I got to have lab test and asked him, right, what to do, he said, okay, forget about past. Completely ignored about his misconduct, because accountable. He was saying that, let's forget about past, focus on now. He's been repeatedly saying same thing, different sentence, but the meanings over and over in a slow and slow pace of, style of English and the higher voice type of right now, like that kind of thing. And anyway, I didn't record that day because, you know, so I didn't bring my phone that day, yeah. So I asked what I have now, PTSD. PTSD what? What I mean? Well, you had a trauma. What trauma? 3 years ago you had a burn. And you've been betrayed. That's so fucking ridiculous, right? Because they abused me, and then I have to be punished to remove my human right for another 6 months under their cocoa care. Actually, that was abuse. Huh? Interesting. So I do have to abilify. That's why I have to take my body seriously now. And you know, I got the prescription for my actual fungi infection. Oh my god, my body now is getting worse and worse. My ear and this, that, it's getting really weird. Those things, I pick them up and then there's a big shit come out from my skin, crazy. Like, okay, and also went to clinic yesterday, and the specialist, there's more than fungi and yeast. There's something else, I don't know, I forgot how to say the name in Latin. It's some weird virus. I don't know if you can eat it now, so I'll have to go ask the pharmacist now. Anyway, so again, that doctor, I don't have to take him doctor, the Weasley guy said that, okay, Vincent, now let's talk about the now, forget the past. Well, 3 years ago you had a burn, and you've been betrayed, so you have to, you know, under our care, take a abilify. You know, and I asked, you know, even though that he completely ignored about his contradiction of and double standard of that one statement. You know, he said forget about past and forget now, and he used the past to diagnose now. 3 years ago past to diagnose now, and completely ignore about his misconduct and malpractice. I say that his malpractice and his deliberate, I don't know, use this way to make him not called accountable and even not aware of his own contradiction. See my sentence. Not aware, not feel ashamed. And haha, and after mentioned I know the drill, you know, like, you know. Anyway, so that day after 1 hour late, right? Yeah, the text for him. And anyway, completely. So I asked Michaela, what psychosis do I have? She's now, you know, that doctor, new doctor, that day, I didn't describe my skin irritation. You know, supposed to be like non-biased opinion. Hey, what did she say? Certified. I mean, 4 criteria. That's bizarre. That one I have transcript. What do I transcript? In my brain. That's what I told them. Oh, it's fair enough. See, I do have good memory. I did record that one, and I remember everything that we said. I'm not kidding you. But well, this kind of thing to Michaela definitely is psychosis. Well, look at this. That's the evidence of the Earth is flat. Look at that. Right, Kitty? Okay, I'm gonna capture this one because it's so beautiful. Okay. Kitty is feeling very curious, inquisitive. Why the water reflected a straight line coming towards me, huh? Why? Why not big patch like a ball? Like a spherical surface, how the light reflects. Oh, because it's too big? Oh, that doesn't make sense. Even though it's too big, it still won't be a straight line if it's a ball. Because you know that you have a ball, you put the light on, and it's a patch, it's not a straight line. If you put yourself as, you know, a scale of the dust. A dust on a ball, won't see the reflection of light is straight line. So, debunked. So simple. Huh. 这靠一个 experimental debunk. It's real science. Okay, so what I realized? I realized that in the same person, there are two Vincent. One Vincent is reality Vincent, that they can talk to me, that being a real person. Another one is the documentation based on theory that's not real, that's what they created. hospital staff, they had a chance to accept me, real talk to me. Otherwise, they would discharge me 4 times before 4 hours. I almost got, I was in the room to changing gown. I think I'll change the gown now to be admitted to mental ward the second time. And first time, thank her so much. I love her. Tracy, she's the one who helped me in 2024, diagnosed that with black mold. She was the one who said that, when I was seeing for irritation, when the Buddha statue attacking my skin with all those, spores or whatever, those toxicity that they say that, triangle things, the sleeve I call, on my arms, one after another. First they saw my skin, I removed one, there's no scar, so now my skin is eternal. And as the intake nurse asked me, oh, is it back? I said, shh, don't say that. They'll put you mental ward. It was a joke, but probably they thought that was bizarre behavior. Anyway, so Tracy, right? She had me humanity, and I can see her eye and expression. She knew I'm the innocent. She even, I understand under observation surveillance in the hospital. She cannot, just Vincent run. She has to convince me to see doctor, but she insert some knowledge there, give me a hint, and she think I would definitely be admitted, we were at the door right there. I got a hint. I thank for her trying to, get me out of it. I insist to see doctor. You know why? Because I'm not crazy. I have a good faith in healthcare. You're not trying to murder me. You're not trying to murder me. Because hospital, they got information from clinic Three Bridges. They did not diagnose the real me. They diagnosed the paper Vincent. That was based on police officers. Why? Because my first interaction with this whole hassle, it was because police officers misconduct. They took me out of my own property because some illegal tenant or some visitor not pay me rent for a month, so he's not the owner. They thought he was the owner. I'm visiting. And they had the idea that, just based on interaction, they saw me and Kevin. That was discrimination. The right away jumped to the conclusion that I do not work. Must be means I rely on government support. That's not true. I'm financially free. I'm not poor. So that was the wrong assumption. And that also always started. Because I did not hit Kevin, they took the way I said hit Kevin, and mostly they did some very, very ugly mistake that they tried to cover up very hard. That's why. So because they put handcuffs on me, they sit on my back. I just had a surgery. I was just in the ICU, and my hand was burned. They were not very aware of that. That's abuse. It was so painful, and I was, among all the other admissions after that admission, that admission was the most agitated one. If you don't want me to use the frustration, the other one I have arguments coming not as severe as that agitation. First one, I was being tied up like a mummy, put me on stretcher. That's how I got down from my unit. And even that, went to Sanpao for 3 hours on ambulance, and Sanpao think I'm not survivable. See, if you use formal logic, common sense, you see the problems. If Sanpao hospital did find me survivable, how did 2 days later, after seeing burn follow-up, they certified me? Which I wasn't apprehended, I was voluntarily going to there. That makes any sense, does it? However, the root cause I understand now, there are 2 Vincent. One Vincent is top student, athlete, works many jobs, and financial free, never worried about money in his life. And that Vincent also helped Kevin got his job. But Vincent also helped Kevin to get in the country in China with Beijing without being deported after the former marriage as his visa, Kevin's visa running out. That Vincent used his connection from that. With one phone call, made him had a visa at the border. Security let him in. Otherwise, Kevin would be deported in the year 2008. That Vincent also worked there 4 seasons. And he also is a musician, artist. He's also knowing how to make a music instrument. And he's also home renovator, home designer. He's also making woodworks and researcher, doing studies of architecture, wooden Eastern wooden Asian structure, and Dogon study. Vincent also travels internationally every year, once a year at least. 1 month a year international travel before pandemic. But Vincent also owns 2 properties. Never get any benefit from government because he's honest. Even in pandemic and no job, he never applied something he doesn't deserve because the RP need it. That's Vincent. The real Vincent is me. But there's another Vincent on the paper. Instead of, okay, the real Vincent, me, actually has a Bachelor of Law degree. I actually studied, graduated in Canada as well, had hospitality management, 5 diplomas at Community Tourism College. But Vincent also had one thing never mentioned, that he studied at Emily Carr. Even now, never mentioned on my record, because, you know, it's not competition of what degree you have. I did mention that because they mentioned that the different Vincent, paper Vincent, is different. Only had high school education. Okay, let's talk about the paper Vincent. The paper Vincent had only high school education and is suicidal kid since a kid. Never good student. He skipped classes. He's problematic kid. And, you know, his parents, his grandfather, all crazy. He started off with the real Vincent's grandfather is a well-known professor named Bao Qikun. Because you'll find his name and the articles he wrote essays in the year 1966, before the revolution. Okay? And that Vincent's grandfather died in 2003, before internet time. You still find his name there on internet, public domain. Huh. That means the father is a judge, mother is the lawyer. No, father is a judge, mother is a doctor, and a physician, a psychiatrist. They both, you know, never read resumes. They got one job entire life. That's Vincent. Also, who athlete, top 3 students, high school, and worked as a tour guide, Mandarin tutor at university, and also works at a computer repair company at Heng Sheng Laptop. That was the first laptop in China, the brand Heng Sheng. Much more famous than the other one, Lianxiang nowadays. No, you know, Lenovo, yeah, that's a Lianxiang, yeah. So, you know, 2 different Vincents. That's why every time, you know, 3 bridges got me. Always, you know, somehow discharge me. It's always 3 bridges, started Form 4 and 6 without any proper interview. Only based on Kevin's input. The other Vincent, real Vincent, will get discharged very soon. And that real Vincent never made any trouble in hospital. Always cooperative, friendly. Never had any psychotic episode. Only psychotic they label psychosis is because I made a complaint about my skin irritation, which is legitimate. Because that's physical, it's real. That's Vincent. Real Vincent. Never. And never. He's Kevin. Violent. Huh. Now you see why, right? Because doctor at 3 bridges, they relied on Kevin's word, the paper Vincent, to make the diagnosis. And the real Vincent, me, always get discharged. Never stay there for over 1 month. Only first time over 1 month it was really Kevin's the only Kevin Johnson in the world. And you know, they never thought of that. Not Kevin take care of me. Why rely on Kevin? No, Kevin relied on me. They didn't know that. No, I mentioned that, but they don't believe me, right? I mentioned that Kevin financially abused me. They didn't believe me. Only Dr. Chen Harris, the doctor discharged me number 4 and number 5 times in April and June 2024. He believed me. Isn't that interesting, guys? I mean, ladies and gentlemen. I figured it all out. And also, I figured out why system labeled me as bizarre behavior when I just simply go into the hospital for the physical reason, or trying to clarify that I'm not I'm self-harm or suicidal, because you know, I also talk to I just like people, but I know their names. I like you know, like the people helped me, the nurse helped me. I know their names. Tracy, I forgot, but you know, I tried to get her name before, because that time I was really too excited. She told me that was black mode. Anyway, so where was I? Yeah. So figure out to Vincent's thing. That's all part of, I think, that's unlocked. I finally, you know, see the problem, because today I went back there again, some hospital. Of course, you don't even want to let me to write it there, because I want to talk to Anthony to make sure if he can testify that I did give him the urine, because I never reject of urine tests. I don't know why. Why I refuse the blood test, but I don't refuse the urine test same time. Because my skin theory I mentioned, I don't want them to do blood work, not because you know, I did the drug, I had it. The time when I trying to experiment it, I let them know I didn't lie to it. Okay? So they told me they were doing blood work for the fungi, I think, as well. So I was looking for the proper treatment, so I gave them blood, and I don't lie to them, you know. Why? I only lied about the drug, is that I didn't do it, I said I did it. That's a lie, the opposite. Okay? Anyway, you know, the people don't understand. They said, why you do drugs? I didn't. I said I did, so that doesn't mean I did. But everything else I said dismissed. The only thing I said harm myself to the mental world, that thing is truth. Double standard. They don't aware of that, of course. Okay, let's say, you say this, you say that. You know, the problem of my case is not about, you know, me like the two people, Kevin's, you know, accusation or their misdiagnosed or like malpractice. No. The real problem of the core problem of my case. I know, I say that I won't win the case, of course, but I've said about this person. The real problem is that the reality, the fact, been labeled as delusions. And the theory being used as a fact to diagnose people. So override reality, that's the core problem. I knew that after I got things figured out in 2024, see my health record. There are two Vincent. And the core problem is that I was labeled a bunch of bullshit, like I told you, like leader things and Quran. I still haven't done any research. No, I'm a researcher, but the labeling of some bullshit, I have to get into that. So, you know, the flat earth, that's the core problem. Because I know the fact. People don't know fact, the difference between fact and the theory, but I do. I'll tell you what's the fact. The fact in science means things people observed. And you should know, but they say people, but by people, definitely it means the people in general, majority people in public, okay? General public, not the people selected few among billions. Why? Well, same idea. If they think the vaccine injury, death can be ignored because population, but the percentage they take, that was like almost like thousands, hundreds, over million. Yeah, but you know, if that can be ignored because you know the ratio, and that was the two digital among billions who observed that the moon landing, who went to space, cold space, who actually, you know, support this idea. That's the two digital of the number of the people, you know, like 100, really observed So that's not, if they say it's a globe, no, we don't observe that. Never. General public, people, in general, no. You need to be a special, like a agency, something like a government entity that only feel like under control. No, that's if that's use that, or because they say that, because that's called theory, okay? Same as house record. The problem is that people now, oh yeah, I know the law, you cannot turn that because the government, official government documentation, that must be the truth. No, people always say think that, but what the fact is that's the theory under the science, Even though they use that law, use that as, the government official must be real, use that to, override the, give it a verdict, this, that. Yeah, but therefore you should know. That's why lots of verdicts, they are wrong. They are unlawful, Some people, they're innocent, they've been charged with crime. That's why those things happen, because they relied on theory, override the reality of the fact. Okay, so how would you tell what's real, what's not real? For instance, I'm a real person, I'm a being, right? The book, that's a tool. A being, me, claim, I see cherry blossom tree like now. And the book there says, I did not see cherry blossom tree. In a trustworthy society, what is it? What's reality? Yeah, definitely I see the tree, because I say that, I see the tree, I observed it. However, someone challenged it, the book is the tool. Book says, I did not. So, what to do? The dispute. In a civilized trustworthy society, supposedly, if he doubts it, he provides evidence. The tool, okay? So the book, if he provides me a video that I have never seen the cherry blossom tree in my life, then sure. The tool was right. But is it possible? It's impossible. That's why we call it trustworthy society. Quite different in a society that not trustworthy. Everybody that harm each other, so public street never safe. You don't share those parks. You have put the walls there. The public space in the hallway, always jammed all the garbage, all the furniture. People trying to use public space to as storage. That kind of society, what I'm talking about. That have no taste and stuff. Okay, so that scenario is different. If I claim I see the tree as a bin, and the tool says I did not, what's the reality in that society? Tool, right? Because the bin not trustworthy. Tool is dead. Tool does not lie. Understand now? Let's not forget, the book is the tool is made by people, so tool can lie as well. They never thought of that. So let me ask you this question, ladies and gentlemen. What kind of society Canada is now? I mean, British Columbia, because actually the main thing is the Mental Health Act, British Columbia, BC. What kind of society we are now? Are we still trustworthy society? Or that direction? Definitely not. You see my experience. That's why I know my case. If it's corrupt like this, probably won't win if I mention about flat earth. But keep that in mind. After everything failed, after everything failed, 10,000 pages of the documentation that's been discussed with the CIA, how many of you people doing research, check them carefully? How many of you people only care about which celebrity that's involved? How many of you people that doing research seeing actually what that means? I tell this, I'm not perfect, but only thing I have is common sense from logic. That's why still today I am here. That's why still today I dare to go to the three bridges to ask them. I want to fire Wesley and Bakela because I sent an email as well. you penalty, a bunch of things. So, someone talk to the director, you know. That's why I have those things, have courage to do that. Because, you know, I'm from Greenwood society, China. I knew how the people been treated. And, you know, not that because I don't want to be treated, because I don't want to treat other people that way. You know, my family, we are not poor family, but we are not rich family either. But at least we are decent family that we know people should be equal to each other. I don't want people to treat me because my parents, so they have a fear about me. I don't want people, you know, talk to me differently because of my background. That's why I come to Canada, for freedom, not because I want to go up, because I want to go down, to be equal with others. But when I got here, been discriminated over and over, the basis on my appearance. Anyway, move on. Topic about the flat Earth. Just look at this. Look at this reflection of the light. If you tell me that means the Earth is a globe, that's crazy. Because in science, reflection of light, that proves it's a flat surface. If it's any curvature, the size too big, it doesn't matter. If there's a spherical surface have any curvature, the light won't reflect that way as a straight line comes towards you. You can do any experiment like that by just use a foil, wrap on any make a curve, and use the light. Or later just shoot on that, see how the light reflects. It's a patch. It never be a straight line. If you say, oh, because it's too big, it's too small. Look, they put a, you know, like I don't want to do basketball, any curved surface. You shoot a light down there and see it's a patch, and you put yourself, if you say the Earth is too big, that's why it's, you know, seems like flat, but you put yourself as a dust. Think of that, if you have dust on that surface, you still won't see the light come towards you like straight line, right? Because if you're like a very size on a patch of the, you know, the small size of the curved things, that should be same ratio. You can't claim that, oh, because it's too big. So, you know, that's when people say that, oh, because it's too big, that's why it's, you know, it's flat. But that's crazy. Flat is flat, curve is curve, spherical is spherical. They're different. Geometry we learned at class, it's not spherical geometry. They're different, different equations, you know, like to calculate size. And what Google Earth use, what Canadian geography agency use, they're using the flat surface geometry, not the spherical geometry. First of all, okay? On spherical geometry, the calculated size of the circle is not a pi r square foot. It's not. Why they use the wrong? If question you this, I'm not claiming anything. I ask questions. One question I ask, hey, if that spherical surface, if spherical surface geometry, why you use the flat surface geometry to calculate the size? To calculate the size of the land, to decide where borders will be, and to the detail of each detail after point 0. Why? If the wrong equation, wrong formula, it's not for, because it's just the only thing you can come to the answer that is because it doesn't divide up the land. It's not because of the accuracy, right? So look at that. You know, Van Gogh, you know, what happened to him? His paintings, it's much deeper than you think. And I also did some research of history. There's a big gap between 1600 to 1800. So there's a missing history, 200 years. And speak of the mud flood, what if we tell you that's real? I do research for all the years. I have enough evidence to have the conclusion. The history lied as well, you know. You can't say because the government official documents never lies. No, that's why it's lied. Because my court record, that's different person, not me, Vincent become the different Vincent. Look, that Vincent have no education, but I have a law degree. That Vincent, all family are crazy, but my grandfather was a well-known professor, my mom is a doctor, my father is a judge. You know, like so from the very beginning, it's wrong. And that Vincent, you know, the paper Vincent, it's a suicidal kid. But real Vincent was top 3 students. You see, like I don't want to debunk one after another. You know, like it's not my hard record; it's somebody else's. My God, no wonder. You know that after realization today, everything unpacked makes sense. So tell you this: no, government official document is a theory, not fact. The fact is things people observe in science.